Welcome to Two Balls and a Mic. We are back with an off-season interview for one of the most important figures in San Diego soccer here. He is the president of San Diego Loyal, Ricardo Campos. Ricardo, welcome back to the pod. How are you, dude?
Thank you for having me. I am great. I'm a little chilly. It's winter San Diego. Is it winter yet? I don't know, but it's dark at 5. I hate that. But I'm good. Off season sucks, but it's exciting for thinking about the future and how do we improve. And this is a weird off season of having the World Cup. I don't know how I feel about that yet.
Yeah, you know what? Piers Morgan can have Ronaldo. We get Ricardo. I'm chilling with that.
Right? Like let him have. Yeah. We got
Ronaldo.
We got the best.
Well, I hate to break it to you. It's definitely not going to be as dramatic.
We'll see about that. I mean, it is the off season, but I mean, I can't imagine this is much of an off season for you. Obviously, you oversee a whole variety, pretty much the entire operation of the club. What's it like as far as now? The storm has passed. We are here, San Diego Loyal. Great regular season into the first home playoff, get knocked out in the first round. We have a couple weeks removed. Looking back, like, is this the time where for you it starts ramping up? It never really ramps down, or kind of just walk us through the day-to-days as far as what you're living with, man.
No, so we start planning for next year, June, July, right? So the planning for the future has to start early. Obviously, when things get heated at the end of the season and playoffs, our focus is in the moment. But the planning for the future really starts early, and that's the key to successes from a roster perspective. Planning for next year, scheduling, all of those things, we're doing it way earlier, just because things can't turn around very quickly. So when the offseason actually comes, a lot of it is just being able to focus on those plans that you had for the future. And being able to take your time. We're having offsite on Friday with our leadership team to kind of go through the schedule of next year and really figure out how do we highlight different things. What are the things we learned from this year, right? And how do we improve, make things better? One of the key things that for me, this has been our first normal year. We had COVID first year, and then we had what I call a social distancing 2021. Yeah. And at the end of 21, it was almost normal. And then 2022 has been fairly normal. We still had, COVID cancellations and friendlies that didn't happen because of COVID cancellation. So it's still a little frustrating, but this has been the first normal year. And so we were excited to really learn from those things we did, the highlights that we had on and off the field, which things did we improve, which things did we drop a little bit, which things did we kind of get overconfident with. And now is the time to start activating things for the future on those terms. Very long answer, but
and this is the perfect way to segue this. Alan wishes he could join. We wanted him as well, just because he's a big part of our loyal segment here at Two Balls on the Mic with Two Balls Underwood. But he did send some questions, and one of those is, what are 3 things you learned after this first real year of soccer with Loyal?
Good question, Alan.
From a soccer side or from an off the field, on and off the or off the field?
You decide. 3 things.
Could be 6 things.
Or both. Okay.
Or both.
I think on the field, right? I'll start there. I think we were really happy about retaining our players to be able to continue our style of play. We were able to really show a very clear style of play, and Landon and Nate and then the whole team have done a phenomenal job of really instilling how we want to play and keeping those players instead of, I've just seen a lot of teams who kind of go, oh, this guy's doing exactly what we want. Let's go get the other guy from the other team who does it a little bit better. Like the time of adjustment and everything else. So I've really enjoyed to see, and I think we peaked probably, kind of June, July, August, which we had a lot of games back to back. And what we were playing was some beautiful soccer, some very attractive, clear how we played. And so I think that was a huge plus. I think the other side was on off the field a little bit, was being able to really deliver what we promise on. That to me was a key for us at the beginning of the season. And I feel like we were able to check that box with a lot of our community partners and a lot of our kind of marketing partners as well. We made a lot of promises, but we were, I'm happy to say that we were able to deliver. And when talking to our partners mid-season and end of season, they were all happy with what they got. We have things like we're part of the board of Chicano Federation now with Travis being in there. Our relationship with the YMCA is amazing. Our new relationship with JA Achievement. So there's been a number of things in that community world that we've been able to deliver on our promises, and I couldn't be more excited about that. And then I would say kind of like all, that some of that community video, there's just so many things we've done in there that to me it really is what it's all about, right? It's the soccer side and the community, or else why are we doing this? The third thing I would just say probably be, I'm so like, you started by saying, somebody who's important in the soccer world in San Diego. Like, to me, it's really about our staff. Our staff do a phenomenal job of running this club. They really
100%.
do. Leadership from the top to bottom, it is amazing how much they care. They care about the club, they care about the community, and they care about delivering to their promises and holding ourselves internally accountable as well. I'm not going to say it's always roses. There's fights, there's arguments, there is makeups, there is beach parties, there is surf clubs, there is soccer games that we've had 2 torn Achilles heels this year
I heard
from
of one,
recreational
2.
games. So like, I really love what our staff do on and off the field here. And to see their growth, right? Like our coaches' growth, our staff growth in sales and in marketing, the group coming together. So like, there's just so many things that I think there's for it to be proud of there that end up being the reflection of what we saw in points 1 and 2 of on the field and off the field. So a little bit of inside, outside, and off the field.
Maybe it's time for a staff versus media soccer match.
Yeah, when's that happening? When is
as long as you can promise me no injuries, man. There's this kind of running joke, the little bike that people use when they get hurt that's been passed on from one employee to the other. I don't want another employee to get it. I'm all about the game.
The media can get hurt.
Don't want another employee to get it.
What I'm hearing is that Ricardo doesn't want to pay for an ADA accessible ramp to his office.
No, we already have that.
Oh, you're good. Okay.
That's covered. So no worries there. But I just don't want people to get injured anymore. That's like not fun.
And I love that you highlighted the staff and the people, the individuals that work at the club, because this is the lifeblood of this club, the people that just run it every single day. Just a fly in the wall moment. And I won't get into too much detail. Was just the end of the game and the playoff at home. There was words, very kind words that I was privy to hear from yourself to the staff and the staff in general. It's a family, and I've personally had gripes perhaps about like, hey, like this office doesn't really reflect this and this and that. I love it. But I feel like at the end of the season, that just kind of went out the window. And overall, like as a San Diegan, I'm proud to see kind of where this organization is heading, man. And so just kudos to you for building a team that represents that kind of, lifeblood again. And again, I know I see it why, because you came from the ops side, right? Like you came from being one of those individuals now into being in a different position. Tell me, how's that been influential in your role now as president, a full year of not interim, just president, right? Because this is your first real season as in such a role.
Yeah, no, that's a fair question. And I'll address something that you said about, kind of the staff and representing San Diego. It's not easy. It's not easy to build a team. Like sometimes what you're looking for, the experience, who applies for jobs, like especially the past year, we've had a really unique job market, I would call it, that the candidates weren't there a lot of times when we were hiring. So finding the right people for the right roles is really an art, and it takes time. Some people came in, didn't work out, and left. Some people came in and have been phenomenal, and so it's really a beauty to see kind of. And then also when people come in, for them to adjust to the culture that we're trying to build. So yeah, that moment after the game was special for me, because I even think I got a little emotional, just because like
I didn't want to say anything, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I admit it. Like emotions are part of this. Like if you don't love what you're doing, and if you don't love the people you're doing it with, like it's, you should absolutely change what you're doing. And so, very thankful for that part of it. And I'm blanking on your question, but but I just wanted to comment on how unique it is to find the staff that you feel like will represent the community, and the community is as diverse as San Diego. And so much that, one of the things I really want is Spanish speakers, and there weren't a lot of Spanish speakers who applied for jobs. I'll share that part of it. And so we've started, there's free Spanish classes every Wednesday for an hour for anybody who wants to take it in the office. And we have 8 people at least every week taking it.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah. And that's very true, right? Like, that's something that people can often point to, like, hey, where's the people that look like me or sound like me in this? Is like, well, you're not apply yourself, right? And so there's a lot of talented individuals, a lot of people who know what they're doing, who know the city in and out, and I want to take that leap of faith. So, I'd love to see more of that, and can't complain about not hiring people like us when we aren't applying. So let's change that. I think that's a good way to start it.
And that part of it is on us too, and making sure that we're exposing the roles in the right places, right? A lot of times people are like, "Oh, it's teamwork online," but some people don't know that teamwork online exists. And how do I find those roles? So that's why we try to put it on social media. If you're following it, hopefully you're seeing it and you're applying for it. One of my core values is diversity, and so that means in every way. So, number of different opinions, cultures that really create kind of the best solution for anything. So love that part of things.
Yeah, just circling back on that question, it was how has
right.
Yeah. How has working and coming up from the ops side of things helped you in this role as president?
I would love for the staff to answer that question versus me. I think there's sometimes I'm a little bit too okay, great idea, but how do we make it happen? Because there's a lot of ideas out there, but turning them into reality and good execution to me is the key. And so I love it because I think I have a lot of the experience of what our people are doing. So I'm not asking anybody to do something that I wouldn't do myself. Mm-hmm. But I definitely bring a more pragmatic, organized process of how to do things that are maybe not as shotgun style as others would be. But I feel like we needed a year of focus and making sure that we did what our goals were, very laser focused. And one of our goals for this year was hosting a sold out playoff game. And we did that. Obviously we wanted to win that game, but we did get to host that sold out playoff game.
So yeah. With that being said, like obviously not the result the team wanted, right? The team wanted a championship, but we've talked about it on the podcast before, and we talked to people. To you, is this a successful season? It's obviously in my eyes is better than last season, but to you, was this a successful season?
And what does success look like, right?
Great question. I think it was a successful season because we were able to continue to live to our values, take a step forward on and off the field of the things that we wanted to do, the style of play that we want to play, and continue to build on our roster, continue to build on our staff in the office, continue to build on our season tickets and our partnerships. And so I do believe it was a successful year. Was it as successful in San Antonio's? No. But only one team gets to win the championship. And our goal is to continue to improve every single year until we get that. And once we get that, continue to get that every single year, but do it in style and better and more dominant. So my conclusion is that yes, successful year, but could have been better. Absolutely. It could have been better. I think we deserved 2 playoff games at home.
Yeah.
I was to say, how would I feel more successful? 2 home playoff games would have been the right feeling for me for the year.
Yeah. I told Tony before, I think people like comparing, especially here in the USL, that they look at Sacramento, right? And they won the championship, like was it the first or second year? And I think they had those expectations and hope for San Diego Loyal, but that's honestly very difficult. Look at LAFC in the MLS. Like it took them five years to win it. Yeah. So it's a very difficult thing to start up a team, and then especially COVID happening and all this stuff happening. So I think people need to keep in mind that it's very difficult to accomplish that. But I told the guys, like, it's a successful season. You got the home playoff. You scored, I think, second most, or was it still the most goals in the season?
Second, if it wasn't for a fluke Tampa game that they got to score like 7 goals or 8 goals or something. Like,
so yeah, I mean, obviously, we wanted more playoffs games, but you got the home
Right.
playoff match already. Now you
Yeah.
move on to the next
No,
season.
and I'm going to say this to the point of like, obviously a new team can always win, right? Like there is the possibility. Look at what our friends at the Wave did in their first year. They've done a phenomenal job. But I was part of building in Red Bull 2, I believe won their first year as well. But the way the USL is today versus what it was in 2015, 16, 17, the years that you're talking about, is incredibly different. The level of the game, the competitiveness. Just look at the West versus the East. So I think today it's much harder for you to come in and win the league versus what it was, at this point 7 years ago.
And it's something that's still growing, right? It's very dynamic because the leagues themselves, obviously, there's a lot of talent that's being pumped in and talent that's being discovered, right? There's still pockets of the U.S. because the U.S. is huge, right? Like, honestly, when I started learning about soccer here in the States, if you told me that Indiana was a hub of soccer, I wouldn't believe you. Like, what do they know about that, right? And that's just not knowing that, they have great systems, they have great facilities, they have great, everything is top notch over there. So why not over here? And I think people are waking up to that here in San Diego, and it's bringing about, a lot of different eyes, a lot of different, maybe wallets even, but, a lot of friends to the party.
Absolutely. And different pressures.
True. I mean,
right? When you're getting new exposure.
Is that something that, especially with, I know we'll get to it. Obviously, there's MLS talk about here in San Diego. Does that just heighten things for you? Does that make you just want to, work harder, work alongside? Pretty much what I'm asking is, are you guys working with MLS with something brewing, something? I know things are still under wraps, and there might not be anything under wraps at all.
You try to dance around it, and then you just went to it on the question. I appreciate that. No, look, I'm going to say this. Like, our goal has always been to try to represent this community at the highest level that we can and build a team that's a true reflection of this community. And that continues to be our goal. We will continue to build this. There is a lot of talk in town about different groups. There have been different groups who have come here before and have interest in that. But unfortunately, we just can't, it's the kind of thing that you don't talk about until it becomes a very real thing. And there are good and bad conversations that happen every single day in multiple markets around MLS. And so for us, the focus is to make sure that we're continuing to build a team that represents the community and does things the right way. We feel like we've done a lot to build a relationship in the community, and we don't want to tarnish that in any way. And so we're staying focused on what we've built and preparing for next year around that as well.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, there's things that you can't say, like you said it, but does that also reflect when it comes to player announcements or anything like that? Because a lot of fans do get a little hesitant or a little frustrated when they see other teams announcing players already. And can you kind of elaborate on that? Why is maybe the team a little more quiet during the offseason when it comes to announcing players?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the kind of option time for picking players' options is the end of this month. A lot of the teams who get eliminated early, they make those decisions earlier. For us, because we're retaining, there's a lot of contract renewals. There's a lot of conversations that we have to take place during these weeks, and we're maximizing that time to be able to do it. We don't want to sprinkle it in, and so we hope to be sharing that more in the middle to the end of December. Some of the player announcements for next year. But we've said this, and I'll share this part of it. We love our roster. We love to keep most of the guys because they do a phenomenal job, and we've built a very unique style of play that we want to keep. Obviously, there's some additions that we want to improve, but most of it we would like to keep. And so I think for people who like what we're doing, you're going to be excited about what the kind of announcements we'll have in December.
We're fixing that back line, right? Just saying.
Why?
What do you mean why? You know why?
Is it? Well, let me address it this way.
A little more depth. A little more depth. We struggled at the center back position.
100%. I think, but we fixed it in the end of the year with bringing in two quality players in Ebby and Jackson. However, they haven't had time to really adjust to the system. The system is key. The system is absolutely key, and I don't want to be a meme of follow the process or whatever that meme is, but like
Just the process,
it is about getting people into the system and giving them time to adjust to it, right? Like Jackson has shown a tremendous potential as a 19-year-old. We wanted Ebby 3 years ago, but because of visa challenges, we were able to get him now 2 years ago, and we're able to get him now. So these two guys are phenomenal additions to our back line. We just need to make sure that they can adjust. And some of what we saw, some of those mistakes were because of that. Not because of their faults, but just the whole group adjusting to themselves. Koke's first year, right? Like, so it's creating that unity and that consistency around that group is going to be key for us for next year.
I'm just a little curious too, and I mean, you can answer as best as you want, as honestly as you can, but sometimes players end up leaving the team midway through the season, and there's really no announcements on that. Is there a reason behind that, or is it just kind of things just end and the team can't really talk about it?
Is there no announcement or there's no explanation? Because I think there's announcement, there's no explanation.
Yeah.
And brutal honesty, right? Like whenever somebody leaves, does everybody find out the details why, unless you're Cristiano Ronaldo?
Yeah. I mean,
you can. Pierce Morgan, come on down, guys. Like, just fucking.
You know what I mean? It's normally it's not a good reasoning, and you don't want to be kind of talking about yours or people's problems in public, right? It's let's say what it is. It's one of those things where if things aren't working out, why drag it out? Why put it out to the public as to why? I think it's more about respecting people's privacy and giving them the best chance to succeed in their next role.
All right.
I know that's all people want. People want the interview with Piers Morgan and the whole drama and let him, say everything he thinks about, why and why not. But reality is most of the time you want to keep some privacy and focus on your next goal.
And there's two parties involved, right? Like one party can be exactly that, and the other party can just be like, you know what? This is why, guys. Like the blah 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 blah. And if that doesn't happen, then it is what it is, and it's fine. But there is this culture that has kind of, as far as in a soccer sense, where you can tell that there's that's play style, the system that's in place. If players come up and I don't know how involved you are necessarily still with the player selection, scouting, and all that. But if there's players available, that it's a must have, right? Like it's just like this guy's available. Do we pick them up and then try to fit them into the system, or we just discard them just because they're not going to? It's not going to be easy to put them in that system, or is that again just a preseason thing? Because now you have a whole season. Also, Goke learned a new language as a goalkeeper.
Phenomenal job, by the way, and 100%. So quickly.
Yeah, amazing.
Jackson also learning very quickly.
Nice.
But to answer your question, look, it's a combination of both, right? There are certain players who you think, he might be able to fit your mold and what you want out of it, but there's going to be some adjustments. There are certain players who are like, he's a phenomenal player, but he just does not fit the mold. So there's a little bit of both. There are some players that you're like, look, he's great, but it's just not gonna fit for what we're looking for. Sometimes it's where they are in their career now versus where they were 5-10 years ago. Sometimes it's just completely their skills, or how do we maximize their profile. I'll use Rubio Rubin as an example, right? Like the way he fit into our roster, and as well as Miguel Berry, the way they fit into our roster was phenomenal, because it was how we were looking to play. They fit what we were looking for. There's been other players who haven't fit as well, and unfortunately they don't last. And so we try to not pick those. We don't try to do those on purpose. And one of the things we've added this year was DribLab to help us minimize those errors or maximize the potential on the players that we're scouting and get to a much bigger network. If you don't know what DribLab does, right? DribLab looks at, you have 10 different points of skill sets or attributes that you're looking at a player. Well, like you pick your perfect player, and then it identifies players that have those same attributes all around the world. And then you go out and see which one you can actually do a deal with and bring them in. There you go.
Only the best here at Two Balls and a Mic.
Yeah. I know. Look at this transition. Who's your producer?
Well, actually, he's not on yet. Breaking news. See, now who's breaking the news, Ricardo? More announcements to come, guys.
Yeah. Announcements coming soon.
Was I not supposed to? Oh, sorry.
No, we're good. We're good. But I mean, that's great, right? Like, there's a lot of sides to kind of look back into last year, and this is, the part that I personally enjoy the most is the soccer side of things, the soccer ops. These are the minutia of how we're improving the tactics, and ultimately to get yourself a better team, because something went awry last year at some point. Let's fix that. Let's add to it. Let's tweak.
Right.
And so, just keep building on that. In what way do you feel that, and what helped this year's roster be as strong as it was? Obviously, I'm just going to discard, and let's get it out of the place. I don't know if you can still get fined, Ricardo. I don't know if the league watches this, but that refereeing was absolute bullshit on that last game. And it's just an atrocity to the sport. I think I told, like it's just a dark day for the laws of the game, honestly, on that day.
Even the kids got a yellow card.
Yeah, no, the referee was handing out the yellow cards and the red cards to the kids.
As if it was like a prize.
Yeah.
What is going on right now? Right.
Yeah. It's wild times.
No, I think, to best thing I can say to that is referees are bad at multiple different levels. You see bad calls at the Premier League. I'm sure we will see a lot of bad calls in the World Cup. It's part of the game, and we just have to find ways to control what we can control. I think the biggest reason, to answer your original question, what was the biggest reason for our improvement and success this year? A lot of it is depth. Landon and Nate had tough decisions throughout the year of like who to start and who to play. That's why you saw a lot of the kind of rotation around the roster, is because we had a deep group. And I feel like one of the things that we lacked at the end was we lost, because due to injury, a couple of those key players for us that maybe wouldn't have started, but would have been able to come into the game and have a bigger impact once the game wasn't going the way we expected it to go. So I think that depth and quality of roster was a key factor for our better performance this year.
And you could tell, like, the team was fun to watch. First year, I think, watching Toomey wasn't as fun. Second year, Toomey was great. But
amazing, right?
And then third year, Toomey got some help, a little help from some friends, it seemed. Just kind of
Toomey and company.
But no, it was incredibly fun to see, and just the development of some of these players, and to see some people like Jack Blake come back in form, right?
So I don't want to cut you off, but that's exactly what Ricardo was talking about. Players develop; they need time. Toomey's a perfect example.
Yeah, and there's
in multiple different ways, tactically, technically, mentally. It doesn't happen overnight. We're all human beings that are developing, and the beauty of what I love about our roster and our coaching staff is they want to work together and consistently improve. And that's what we've seen. Toomey is a great example of that. If you take the time and you're listening, and just his development has been amazing for the club. Now we even have a Toomey hat.
I like those hats, the dad hats. Check them out. Yeah. SD Loyal Shop.
Plug in for the hat. Thank you.
Yeah. So at this point, like everybody, all players are on holiday. Do you have contact with those who you're trying to get into contract bag in contract talks and get that option? Talking with new agent on the market, Jack Metcalf, excuse me. Jack Metcalf, who
trying to retire Blake already? Come on,
not
dude.
yet.
Come on.
Although Jack and Jack,
that sounds like a great agency name.
It's a great agency name.
Hot takes, Jack and Jack.
Jack squared. I mean, come on.
Give him an idea.
Rumors are that he's already representing somebody on the squad. Like, man moves fast. But this
picking his clients right before he even retiring, he's already picking his clients.
Is he negotiating with you now? Like, is that what happens?
He was, he had it's great to see guys who already have a plan, right? Like, of what they want to do. And Jack approached us kind of midway through the year and kind of mentioned what he wanted to do. And I could not be an agent, but there's a uniqueness to that role, and very important in the game. And yeah, he retired, and he's representing one of our players.
Yeah, I asked them after a game on the post conference if maybe Coach Metcalf was going to be an option, and he just shut that down real quick. He said, "No,
right,
I'm going to be an agent."
Exactly.
I was like, "This,
yeah,
this man is,
that's the beauty, right? Some guys go into coaching, some guys go into youth versus pro coaching, broadcasting, podcasting, refereeing. I had a fun conversation with Grant at the end of the year, at our kind of end of the year celebration party, and he was like, "I would make a phenomenal ref." And I was like, "And I would love to see that." Right? Like it's just everybody has their passion.
More player refs should be a thing in all sports, but
I couldn't agree more.
Why isn't that like highlighted? Like, obviously,
Ricardo retired you right now. He said some people go into podcasting. He pointed at you.
Hey,
he just retired you. You're retired now.
Hey, man, the knee's not doing well. But yeah, I mean, this is obviously just a big step in Jack Metcalf's career. Hopefully, I'll be represented by him at some point.
You could have had the chance. We remember you guys had a deal early in the season. I'm bringing it up. Right? I'm bringing it up. You guys had a deal.
Look, the
right now
still
we're looking
here.
at the camera. Ricardo and Tony had a deal that Tony could get a 1-day contract, but he just had to finish one goal, and I don't believe he accomplished that goal.
Hey, we can't all cheat to lose the weight.
I'm sorry.
No, you didn't. Great job. I'm proud of you, but glad you could breathe now. But I mean, so speaking of this roster, right? Like obviously, the future is something that we look towards. Future being Loyal Select, a project led by Coach Matt Hall.
Legend Matt Hall.
Yeah, legend San Diego. Again, another prominent person in soccer in San Diego, right? How are we working to transition some of those players into San Diego Loyal? Thinking about, say, CJ Foji, right? He chose the option to go into San Diego State, killing it.
Killed it.
He
Freshman
is
of the year.
Freshman of the year for the Pac-12. But how are we building those into it? Obviously, Durant, just seeing him play is phenomenal for his age in that position. The IQ he possesses, the athleticism, and just where he's at physically and as a player is just incredibly impressive.
Yeah.
No, that's a great question. And it all comes down to consistency and style of play, right? As we're getting those kids into Loyal Select or a potential kind of academy format, making sure that it's consistent and we're developing them again, physically, mentally, tactically, technically, so that it's consistent with what we're trying to do in the first team. Doesn't necessarily mean one formation, but a style of play. And so that's what our focus is in. And CJ, that's a great point, has done a phenomenal job going into the college system versus if he would have stayed with us, probably wouldn't have gotten as much playing time. So I hope to see CJ back in Loyal at some point. And you know, he's a great kid and has done a great job in college.
And I mean, the coverage of San Diego Loyal Select is can we get a match like just recorded here and there? Like is there any type of laws or rules against going back into and watching some of those games maybe for the fans that want to support these kids or
no, the matches were open to the public to come to attend the game. Once we had the schedule, we did put that out. Broadcasting it is just a little bit trickier with some of, you know, when we're away, we don't control that. At home, there's some financial challenges with broadcasting those and where would they go. But I think we're definitely open to it. There's no legal rules as to why you can't do it. We want to get those kids the right exposure.
Give us some Wi-Fi, and I know a couple guys that broadcast games for other teams.
Yeah, no, Darren Jordan do.
There you go.
Yeah, they do. They're great.
I'll talk to Jordan and Darren
about it. But again, this is it takes a village, right? Like I spoke to, you know, the locals themselves, and how is that relationship just as far as you know, fan engagement, the 109 people, chavos, and everybody involved with that is. It was a weird year. Just to kind of put it
ups and downs.
Bluntly, there was ups and there were downs. Is this a unique kind of year where you kind of saw some challenges you didn't really expect, and how did you manage those, and how did you just compartmentalize all that, you know, stuff when there was a good 3-4 weeks where it was just shit hitting the fan every other day, and just like this and that and this and that, and
it's not a soccer season if that doesn't happen.
But is that exactly? Is that not part of the game, right? Like I'm not saying that's what we want every year, but it's like when you truly love something, and that's what Chavos and locals are. They truly love the sport, loyal, the community. And when you love something that much, you get heated about it. You care to a level of like, tension, right? So I think I love to think that the transparency is how we always fix problems. I love to think that communication and transparency is key, and so that's why my our doors are and our ears are always open for meetings and conversations. We actually have a meeting with both groups tomorrow here in the office tomorrow night, and so I think that's the key to the further development of those groups and appreciating their support and what do they want to see more out of it. Not saying that we're going to be perfect and do everything they want every single time, but we are tasked with stewardess for the club and leading it in the best direction that we feel. But we will always be transparent about how we do things and why we do things, especially with that group and our season ticket holders who are the most passionate groups that are connected to the club.
Yeah, and and speaking of community, will there be more collaborations with other soccer teams like San Diego Wave, Albion, who got to the championship game? Do you think we can see that more in the future?
Yeah, we love to celebrate every team in town, every sports team in town. We are 100% about celebrating them and making more things happen. Collaborations are something that we want to do. They're just tricky with timing sometimes of availability, schedules, and everything that happens. But we support all of the teams in town, not just in soccer, and look to find ways to collaborate.
That's great.
What's one thing you want to change in the San Diego culture that you've seen in these last 3 years that you're just like this?
Ooh.
This just needs to change in order to be as successful as we can be.
San Diego culture. That's like a big statement
Very
of
broad,
like,
yeah.
Yeah.
What do I want to change? It's not what I want to change. For me, what I don't like, and I'll say this,
Don't say Mexican
as
food.
a Brazilian who lives in a family where it's like most of my family is Brazilian and my wife's family is American, and I see a lot of the Mexico versus US, like Hispanic, like why can't we just like find ways to work together and adapt and like be together, and like it's a melting pot of communities and certain, I don't know, for me it's more of why can't we just do more things. I'll say it, right? Republicans and Democrats, like that whole thing, like it's why can't we just work better together knowing that we will have differences. I don't know if Ricardo is changing that in San Diego, but I think us being a way to support something that supports all sides and supports diversity and inclusion is the key to that, and showing that as an example. And that means making hard decisions to support both sides. That's what I want. What's Ricardo doing? That's my little. I haven't taken this off since I put it on a few years ago. It's I will speak, I will act, and if I see things, I will call it out. And sometimes it's hard to call it out, but it's important. If you see somebody not respecting another culture and not giving it space to breathe and be its own, as long as it's also respectful of others, I think it's for us to act and try to bring people together.
And so, I mean, I know that was very heartfelt for you. I was, just thinking about that night where that I will speak, I will act kind of just kind of blew up on that home Phoenix match for year one. Just how is that just ingrained with everybody? Is that like on the manual, on the instruction manual for orientation for San Diego Loyal, front office, ticket sales, players? Like, is that just a personal mantra, a personal thing?
Not the I will speak, I will act. What it is grow loyalty. That's our guiding light. And that means every decision that we make, our ultimate goal is are we growing loyalty with our own staff, with our players, with our season ticket holders, with our supporters, with our community partners, with our marketing partners, with other teams, locally, right? It's our guiding light of how we make decisions is growing loyalty. And ultimately, it is a version of I will speak, I will act. And so grow loyalty is our ultimate goal.
And
but it's a more internal thing, and that's why we don't talk about it externally as much.
100%.
And Tony and I mean, when you're saying about this whole rivalry, U.S. Mexico, we went to O'Brien's to watch a Mexico U.S. game, wearing our Mexico gear, and
there we go.
We're trying to kind of like feel it out, right? And everyone was dope. Everyone was nice, honestly.
It was the first time I watched.
It was a tie, luckily.
A Mexico game in English, like that. Just like slight change. It's like. it's night and day. Like what's going on? Like
Right.
like why? What's it's just so
So
foreign.
I'm trying to get the November 26th game, Mexico Argentina game at the Brady Shell to be the Spanish broadcast. I don't know if we'll be able to do it because the license we got is actually from Fox.
Oh, okay.
There you go. Look at your producer just killing it tonight.
And it's a perfect segue. Talk to us about
You know what?
about this whole
This
watch
is
party.
me doing it. Now I'm double thinking, like, do we even need a producer?
We do.
No, this is look, we were looking at different ways of doing a watch party. Like, do we go and try to be at all these different bars every single day and go crazy? And we're like, well, why don't we, I'll take a little bit of credit here. Why don't we do something big? And so reached out to our friends at the Rady Shell. And luckily they didn't have events planned for this date. And it also coincides with two great matches, right? Like US, England, Mexico, Argentina. So it all kind of aligned up perfectly. So I think it will be a two great days of celebration of our communities and celebration of soccer in San Diego. I know we already have 10,000 people RSVP. That was a couple of days ago for these events. So it should be a great day. It's a beautiful venue. If you haven't been, it's like incredible place to go. And it's an open park. So it's free to attend. Just come in and enjoy the game. And so that's what I was saying. Hopefully the game on Saturday, we'll be able to do the Spanish broadcast. But to go through the whole FIFA licensing thing, we got the Fox one. But we're trying to see if we can do it in Spanish, which would be great to do.
Oh, we know about that pesky FIFA and their licensing. Just inside baseball. We're supposed to talk with Ricardo a couple weeks ago. He's like, "Hey, we got this thing going down, and it's going to be great." We're like, "Great, awesome." Hey, right. FIFA's stalling. We can't. All right, cool. They give the green light on a Saturday. I'm celebrating. Okay, so I'm celebrating my anniversary. I'm texting Ricardo. Ricardo straight up tells me, "Stop, put your phone down, pay attention to her. Happy anniversary."
That's a very different answer than I would have given him.
Great.
I would have said, "Let's go do it right now."
And she agreed. And no, but that it's okay, man. Like we'll give you the pass. Just whenever you announce if or not we're going to Snapdragon or USD or we're going into
Did you
playing on the beach.
Did you try to get a Brazil game for a watch party?
Dibs.
I would have assumed you wanted a Brazil game there.
Dibs on an announcement.
There's no real good Brazil games. We will watch the Brazil Argentina semifinal. I don't know what the date is.
That's not happening.
Of course it's happening. Both teams top of the group.
It's going to be Mexico Brazil semifinal. What are you talking about?
Sure. I'll take that.
All right, let's talk about Brazil in the World Cup. I mean, give us your rundown in players.
Yeah. Any
okay.
I know you're excited for the Man U boys, Anthony and Fred. I know you're excited for them.
I'm excited for Fred. I'm excited for Dani Alves. I'm just kidding.
What's with Dani? Did you see that picture? Dani Alves just
trying to injure
going nuts at
what is
training?
He doing? What is he doing?
Well, he's just getting everybody ready to play some games and get tackled. I hope. No, look, I think, Brazil is always a contender. I don't like us being the number one ranked team. I think Brazil, I'm a big Ronaldinho fan, right?
Yes.
Like big Ronaldinho fan, big Ronaldo fan. Obviously I was a kid growing up and having those guys kind of win the World Cups and be at what for my generation is the top of Brazilian, the best of Brazilian soccer. My dad would probably disagree with, the Pelé days and things like that. But I think if Brazil can play their game and don't get into the mental game of others, especially Neymar. Neymar impacts that team tremendously.
Yeah.
I like Neymar's creativity. I like what he does. I think what we've seen in him in PSG this year has been miles better than in the past because he's focusing on just playing. And he's not letting the games that people try to get to him get there. So I think if he can do that in the World Cup, I think Brazil has a real shot because of players like Anthony, Jesus. I'm not the biggest fan of Richarlison, but
yeah.
God, what's his name? I'm blanking now, but
you have
midfield.
You got
Vini Jr.
Vini, your midfield with Paqueta. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
So, but for me, it's like to me the big difference makers will be Neymar, Vini Jr. and And Anthony, I do think Anthony can play a key role if he's not trying to do his little loops. But he's a skillful game changer. Like if you look at Ronaldo, when I think it was Ronaldinho when he came in very young at a World Cup, he made an impact, but he was kind of like potential player. We'll see what he turns out to be, and he made a huge impact for Brazil that year. So I'm excited to see that solid back line, solid midfield, right? Like Fabinho. You can complain about Fred, but he does some good things very well.
You got the best holding midfielder, Casemiro.
Right, exactly. Right, like Casemiro came from São Paulo, the club that I follow in Brazil.
Nice.
I hope Marquinhos, Thiago Silva can do a good job in that back line and be consistent. I worry about pace. Right, Thiago Silva is no longer 23.
Yeah.
But I think there's a real potential. My biggest weakness is what has always been our strength. Our wingers, our left back, right back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like
there's traditionally
no
those have been strength positions for Brazil. So,
I mean,
we'll see.
I hope you guys don't start Dani Alves.
Just for this,
I don't think we'll start. I think Dani Alves is
right?
playing a very key role of leadership in that group because Neymar is a good player, but he's not a leader to that group.
Yeah.
And I think Dani Alves, Thiago Silva are playing those roles.
You need somebody to come,
especially when you have. Don't forget, it's a 26-man roster.
Yes.
And so you have more players than you really need. And so I think having a leader there who can you have a big bench, right? You have more than 11 players sitting around kind of not being engaged in the game. And you have somebody who's making sure those guys are engaged and focused. I think it could be beneficial.
And you get 5 subs this World Cup too.
Right.
It's a whole different sport. It's a whole different sport.
It is. It's changing the game. Absolutely.
So what's your starting 11 for Brazil then?
Ooh.
At least this first game. Because obviously you can change it up as you see best fit in the World Cup.
I mean,
the first game.
I'm kind of like whatever on the left and right back, but I'd go right Thiago Silva, Marquinhos. I think Alisson has been playing, but I actually prefer Ederson.
Me too.
I would then play obviously the Fabinho and Casemiro, Jesus, Anthony, and Vini Jr. up top, and Neymar. Like the 3-4 back line. I'm kind of like whoever Chichi thinks is the best guy to fit with the rest of the group is. But that's my core, I would say.
Yeah, it's a lot of star power. It's obviously I would not want to be that coach to make those decisions.
Right, it's tough because as you put those 4, right? If you put Vini, so if you have Jesus, Vini on the left, Anthony on the right, Neymar in the middle, Casemiro and Fabinho in the midfield there.
You want to start Militao with Marquinhos?
Sorry?
You want to start Militao instead of Thiago Silva? It's a lot more pacey.
I like the experience of a Thiago Silva, to be honest, unless he's looking that old in training.
And he didn't. That's what we were saying when he came to Chelsea, and he's
playing in such a terrible club
into
now.
A Champions League. Like,
right. Yeah, it's a terrible club, but we won't judge him for that.
Yeah,
Anthony plays for a terrible club too. We're not judging people based on that.
You guys are getting lucky. You guys are being fueled by Logan Paul and KSI's prime drink, and that's the only reason you guys are doing well. It's the hype.
I didn't hear his boy Martinelli in the starting lineup.
Wait a minute. Who are we talking about?
Arsenal.
Are we talking about Arsenal?
Yeah, I'm talking about Arsenal. All right.
Wait a minute. You're saying we're being lucky?
Yeah, you guys are drinking this energy drink. We need more investigation as to what's into it.
Don't forget who beat Arsenal this season. All right, we did.
None of that matters right now, guys. We're on pause.
Wait, so you're telling me we've been lucky 14 times?
100%, yes.
13 times?
But a 15th time, I'll see you then. We'll see.
Okay,
let's see how it goes.
We'll still be in first place after 15 games. Just making that clear.
It's good. It's a little parody's good. I'm not gonna lie.
You know what? Let us enjoy this. I agree. It's not gonna last much longer, but let us enjoy this. I hate this World Cup because of that.
So you're just not a fan of like the setting, the timing, like Turkey, World Cup. Like, is there any positives that you can take out of this?
That it's going to be different, and it's always good to be different. But like to try something new. But I don't like the place. I don't like that there's not a soccer culture there. I am fully supportive of bringing the game to new spaces like we did in South Africa.
Mm-hmm. That was great.
But I don't think this environment is an inclusive environment that what the sport is about, and bringing it there, I don't think it's the right decision. No, I do not.
But Ricardo,
Less about the timing, more about the location.
Okay, yeah,
I agree.
I agree.
100%.
This Sunday though, F1 in the morning, very early in the morning. Then you got the World Cup opener. Then you got NFL football the rest of the Sunday.
Yeah. Are you
It's a lot of
watching
sports.
Qatar, Ecuador?
Uh,
We're watching it because we
Barn
have
burner.
to.
Yeah,
we
we
have
have
to.
to.
We
We have
it's,
to.
It's yeah. It's
We
an
don't have-
appointment.
But is that an exciting game? Like, come on.
You know what? Just because it's a Latin America country.
Yeah.
We were talking about it at
I
work.
lived in Ecuador for 3 years. I absolutely love Ecuador, and so for Ecuador, I want to watch it. But most people are not going to want to watch that, and it's kind of a boring game. But I will watch it. I just think, again, Qatar to me is not a good choice. But look, if you want to know more about it, watch the Netflix documentary.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's
4
it's-
episodes, and you'll get to know why we're
I want to
there.
watch it after the World Cup, just so I don't hate this World Cup.
No, just get it over with.
I don't like the way I'm being
rip the Band-Aid.
I'm being forced to feel, and I think that's what it is, right? Like we all care about these important things that are, in a way, being sports washed, overlooked. But man, like I hate being put in this position with a sport I love, and I just don't want this to ever happen again. And hopefully it won't. But while we're here,
I think that this could be happening in the U.S. right now. This could have been the World Cup in July.
Yeah.
I think about that, but then I don't think we would have gotten.
I don't want those bad vibes.
Your goal wouldn't have been there. Okay, that's
Exactly.
Fair.
That's why
your goal.
I've been watching the Captain show on Netflix, which is about different captains of nations. It's pretty good.
I gotta watch that.
Who's on it? Which
I haven't
captains?
seen that.
Modric, Thiago Silva.
Oh, Silva's
one of
on it?
them.
Thiago Silva's in there. Yeah.
I want to ask, how much did you pay Landon for his bracket, Fox Sports bracket?
Did you see
Did
it?
you see his bracket?
How much did I pay?
He has your nation.
Come on, where's the producer? There he is. Look at that.
Against the U.S.
I was in a meeting earlier today. I meant to say that he had said it was Brazil-U.S. Look, how can he not put the U.S. in there? But
how Cameroon in the semifinals against Cameroon?
I mean, Ecuador they'll beat. France, I say
Cameroon's a decent team, man. I don't underestimate it.
To get to the semifinals. I mean, I have Mexico win the World Cup, but I'm
a
little biased.
I gotta call him and just thank him for beating Argentina. Like, we don't even have to win. Like, let the U.S. win. We beat Argentina. We won our 6th World Cup.
Honestly, we're talking about it at work. It's been 21 years since a country from Latin America wins it. Since 2002, Brazil won it.
Do you do that? Do you do that?
Let's be honest. There's only one team who's won it in South America since the 70s, 80s.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And it's
so I think it's bound.
We can't say
for someone from Latin America to win it, right? Whether it's even if it's Ecuador, fuck it. I
love Ecuador. Yeah, I really think this is South America's year. I really just hope it's not Argentina. Sorry, Messi. I think you deserve it.
Yeah.
But not if Brazil is playing, so I don't think you deserve it.
I think everyone's waiting for that because if Argentina wins the group,
if
and Portugal wins the
Brazil,
group,
Argentina will be Brazil against the world, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But
so we were talking about it in some of our memories. Obviously, Chiba here, you said 2006 was the first one that you remember. First one I remember was 98. Wow. 98 was my first one.
2002 I was 5, so I mean
Jesus.
I kind of remember a little, but not too much.
I remember waking up at 3 a.m. to watch that game. I don't know where you were, Ricardo. Where did you watch that game? Let me ask this, actually. Set it up. What does it feel like?
I don't know what game you're talking about.
What does it feel like to win a World Cup? 2002 against Germany. Oliver Kahn, that team.
So that one was really weird. So I used to travel a lot when I was a kid with my family. I actually watched that game at an airport in Houston.
Wow.
So that kind of sucked. But 1994 marked me forever. I think I've told the story before, but that's the year that Senna died. I'm a huge F1 fan.
Senna.
Point to my little gift in the corner here that nobody can see right now, but
I got him right here.
But so he died that year, and then Brazil won the World Cup in the summer in the U.S. and that feeling was absolutely incredible. And then living through 98, 2002, and even 2006, and the potential that Brazil could win all of those was, for me, the best World Cups. 2010, 2014, I think Brazil had a real chance. I don't think this gets talked about enough, by the way. I am going to bring this. I know everybody talks about the Brazil-Germany game, but the fact that Neymar got brutally attacked against Colombia and broke his back
attack. Yep, 100%.
Like, I'm sorry, that does not get talked about enough on how that is what broke Brazil.
And
it's
Thiago
not
Silva was
the
out
Germany
that
game.
Thiago Silva was out too.
Thiago Silva was out for a stupid red card. That's his own fucking fault. But sorry, as you can tell, I'm a little passionate about it. But like, that does not get talked about enough on how I feel like Brazil would have had a much better chance of that Germany game. It would have not been the way it went if Neymar is on the field.
I
agree with you.
Almost, like, I'm a Mexico fan through and through, Ricardo, and I think I've told you this.
He's not.
Brazil's my second team. If I had to be Landon, Brazil's my second team. I almost cried at that 7-1 because that's like,
that was rough.
The joy of soccer is being just destroyed by it's Ivan Drago beating Rocky to a bloody pulp.
Yeah.
In the U.S. in front of his family, like,
right.
Yeah.
What was that like? I don't want to.
I can tell you what was that like, and I'm not going to go in for much longer. But I traveled to Brazil for that game.
Oh no!
I had tickets to the final with my wife, and we traveled to Brazil. We landed in Brazil the day before the game, and my Brazilian family had done this huge barbecue. Everybody was at my uncle's house. Everybody's there. Party started 4 hours before the game. You know, everybody's very happy and etc.
That's so sad. Right
game
now.
Starts. Obviously, it didn't take very long for it to go south, but probably I think it was the third or fourth, fifth, whatever, one of the many goals. And that my wife turns to me and makes a comment about like, "Oh no, that's not another goal. It's a replay." And the entire room goes, "No, that's another goal." Yeah. I'll never forget that moment, and neither will she. But by the end of the game, there was fights within family members of blaming different people, and you know, some people get like snarky and sarcastic about
you guys
everything.
Watched the whole game?
Of course, you have to watch the whole game. Of course,
yeah,
that's rough.
Man. And then all cried together at the end. So no, nothing to remember.
You know what? It hurts a little more when the ref screws you over. No era penal. Never forget.
I'm just going to let you know, and I think Chivas said it, Brasil son clientes de Mexico. We got y'all figured out. Like,
not 2018.
Okay. We beat them in the Confederations Cup.
Wait a minute.
We beat them in the Confederations Cup. All right?
Yeah.
Just wait a minute.
I'm sticking to
you
that
beat
one.
us one time. And
97. 5.
Hey, don't worry. We got Ochoa again.
Just look at the record history.
Neymar doesn't. I mean,
where does it stand?
El Cepillo beat Brazil for the Olympics.
Yeah, that's right.
That counts.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Yep.
Okay. Get out of the group stage and we can talk.
Okay? Oh, we'll get out of the group stage.
Oh, we're winning the group stage.
We're doing it.
Ricardo,
we're
shocking the
Ricardo,
world.
The Simpsons predicted that Mexico will win their World Cup against Portugal, and they're gonna win their group.
Yeah, it's a comedy show.
And they get everything right.
They get shit right.
They get stuff right.
They're not going to get that one right this time. It's 2026.
They just shoot. They're like a shotgun. They shoot everything. So you have to get some things right.
Are there any? I'm strictly, obviously speaking, on-field soccer. The joy, the festival of the sport as the World Cup. What are you most looking forward to? Any other players outside of Brazil? Anything else that you're just like it goes with it? Like. I love national anthems and stuff. Like I love all that stuff. So something that kind of gets you.
It's funny. I make breakfast for my boys. I have a 2 and a 4-year-old, and I make breakfast for my boys every morning. And I now play the Brazilian national anthem every morning during breakfast in the speakers, just to get them excited around it, so that when the game comes around and they're going to be listening, they're going to go like, this is awesome. Like my son my youngest one. During every dinner, all of a sudden he starts going like San Diego, like he literally does that like every like dinner. So I'm excited to enjoy it because I don't like going to watch parties for Brazil games. I don't like being in groups. let me focus, let me suffer, let me do my
See,
thing.
I vibe with that. Like I see that
that's why
so
you won't
much in
see
me.
me over there Saturday, man.
I don't wear Mexico colors or jerseys just because of that.
Oh no, I
I'm
do.
just
I wear it, but I don't want to be in a
strictly
group.
here.
I don't like. I also get distracted. I get frustrated with people saying things that I don't agree with. So like, let me just suffer by myself.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to do it with my boys because they're getting to the age where like they're watching and they're like, who do we want to win on this game? They think every game is a loyal game, but that's fair. And so I just excited to kind of enjoy that with them. And I also realize they're so young, they probably won't remember this one, but it's okay. I will.
Well, you know what? Now you can record and you can show him in the future as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. There will be multiple videos of my kids celebrating with me.
Brazil's my choice for this World Cup. I'm not just saying it. It just feels different. I think this is the time. The depth is there for this team. The talent is there. I mean, looking at
they can win
other
it in the Community
France
World Cup.
is gonna just shit the bed because they're up for it. They always 2010 they had a similar squad where they had stars and some injuries and they lost to Mexico. Who loses to Mexico in the World Cup that way? But
that was Chichadios.
That was Chichadios. But yeah, I think Brazil's got that on lock.
It's gonna be the
I definitely don't think
tournament.
it's got it unlocked. There's a long way to go, but I do think we have a good chance.
Who's the player of the tournament? Call it right now.
Awful demand.
Player of the tournament, Messi.
Messi.
Do you? I mean, is that painful to just kind of say like the Argentinian have the guy?
Yeah, but what I hope for is that Neymar is the player of the tournament. Oof. I think he has the skills at this point to be able to be that. But I think Brazil will have enough distribution. Similar to us, there wasn't one super goal scorer. We had multiples. I think Brazil will have that of multiple goals from different players, that Neymar won't stand out enough like that. And I think Argentina will solely depend on Messi's goals and contributions. And I think for that reason, he will be the player of the tournament.
Oh, man,
without winning the tournament.
Oh, man.
What a plot! What a plot twist if Argentina somehow shits the bed and they just don't do good. It won't happen.
That would be amazing. I'm happy to lose my bracket if that's the case.
Yes.
I love it. See, again, you're talking about, hey, U.S., Mexico, why can't they come together?
Argentina, Argentina come together.
They can come together.
Whoa, yeah.
No. Competitively,
chistoso.
On the field, competition. I have very good Argentinian friends that I absolutely love and love Argentina and like going there and everything. But on the field, that's a different thing. I have nothing against the people at Orange County, the people at Phoenix, but on the field, there's a rivalry.
Kobe mentality.
I have, absolutely congratulated San Antonio, but on the field, there's a rivalry.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I mean, we literally covered from
I think we
as local as it gets to as global as it gets. But I mean, I just want to thank you for your work that you do again for the sport here in San Diego, man. And it's growing. The fact that people, it's weird, like the combination of things that people have to watch and do to understand a little bit of why the sport means so much to us. Like, that's why I don't watch Ted Lasso. Like, I know what that means. Like, I know what it's like for a club to be built. Like, I've seen it.
Just watch it.
It's
not about that. It's not about that.
The comedy. Just watch it. It's funny.
Dude, it's good.
It's
not even about soccer.
It's
not even about soccer.
Don't let's like it. Just watch it. It's like, what did you ever watch Bend It Like Beckham?
Now there's a movie.
Okay, but like it's funny. It's funny.
Yeah. Have you seen Club de Cuervos?
Yes.
He hasn't watched it either.
Nah, come on.
I've been telling him, man.
Why not? Why? What's
He'd rather watch Grey's Anatomy.
Hey. All right, relax.
Don't watch it.
That's a project. That's a project with the missus, and you know how that goes.
That's a different thing.
That's completely different thing.
Get a new project.
You keep watching Grey's Anatomy. You're doing the right thing.
All right, I'll give it a shot. I'm gonna need to ride off the sadness of Mexico getting booted out early by Lewandowski and whatever the hell Saudi Arabia has.
No.
No, who's in Mexico's group? Poland, Mexico,
Argentina,
Saudi
Argentina,
and
Arabia.
Saudi
and Saudi
Arabia.
Arabia.
Saudi Arabia having 6 games.
If we get
leading up.
screwed, it's because of our Argentinian coach. You know, I don't like
Lewandowski
Argentinians
doesn't
either.
score big goals. I feel like you have a chance.
We do. We're gonna beat Argentina and Poland and lose to Saudi Arabia.
No, you're losing to Argentina. You're tying with
Poland.
You're beating Saudi Arabia, and you're going through on goal.
Hey, if Mexico beats Argentina, can I do that halftime $25,000 shot next season?
There's a lot of rules and guidelines, so no, you cannot do that. But you can do the crossbar challenge.
Oh, we missed it again.
Right,
there you go.
I guess I could use $25,000, but
yeah, we can too.
Everybody could use $25,000, but there are some serious rules around how we do that thing.
all right, I'll just go to Siquan and get the $25,000. The right way playing blackjack.
There we go.
Degenerate.
There we go. There we go.
But no, again, Ricardo, thank you for your time, man. Just kind of want to wind it down here, just because, again, taking your time to talk to us and just shed some light on some things that, you know, are lingering throughout the year, and just sharing your insights in that. And you know, we're going to just keep trying to grill you, man, and trying to get stuff out, and trying to keep growing with you guys, and help this project of the sport of soccer here in San Diego. And you've been great to us since the beginning, and can't really, you know, thank you that much. You can tell everybody at that club just loves this club. And I was going to say it earlier, is one of those things that I feel like your staff felt what it was like for a San Diego team to lose. And that's almost like a rite of passage. And I really appreciate that, like, from top to bottom. And I know you're saying you were emotional, but like, when I saw Coach Beto after that game, that shit killed me, because that man cares so much. And that's just exactly the lifeblood of what I want this club to be as a San Diegan. And so let's just harvest that. And, you know, hopefully there is that next year, and we move forward, and hopefully we can announce dibs on the announcement wherever you're going to play, Ricardo. Like, I'm sorry, we called dibs, or player announcements, whatever you want.
Let's work on that. Absolutely. No, but thank you guys. Honestly, thank you guys for all the work. You guys did a phenomenal job of covering not only us, but a lot of different teams and sports in San Diego, and appreciate what you guys do. Keep doing it. And anything that I can do, the club can do to help support that. And always here to help, always loyal.
Let's go. And vamos Mexico.
Vamos Mexico.
What is your guys' vamos Mexico? You guys have a vamos Mexico? Brazil? Like,
They have 5 World Cups
Exa.
already.
There you go. Appreciate you, Ricardo. I'll go ahead.
Thank you both.
Stop recording. 3, 2, 1.